I was muted. Good afternoon. This is Malal from Hearts and Minds Development Center. Thank you for joining us in Being Whole, Being Me, Series 57. So, for those who've joined us, well, I think you would have joined because we have indeed a very interesting guest today. Um, I dare say she's a good friend of mine. Everybody seems to be my good friend. Yes. Started off as acquaintance. We met at a conference, and this woman, from the time I met her, has been what I will say a go-getter. She talks about a dream, which is um, very noble, and she just goes for it, right? And she's amazing, an amazing person because uh, if you're wondering what does a lawyer, right, being in the legal industry, in a very niche market, what is this lawyer trying to do by being a career coach? So I was also curious, and I've personally introduced some of my friends to her, and all of my friends who've got her services are so happy. But this is really not about her services, but really about following your passion when you have a very successful career, and what makes her do what she does, and how she leaves her footprints in people's lives. So, without much ado, I think we've already been introduced to Bhavani Manickam through the video. But let's meet her now in person. Let's welcome Bhavani Manickam. Hi,
Hello. Hi. Hi.
how are you,
Hi.
Bhavani?
I'm
How are you?
okay. Thank you. I'm okay. I'm great. Thank you for having me in the show. I think you're breaking up a little, so the line's not so clear.
Okay, I'll just check in with Kitna to see whether I'm good or not because I can hear you well. Let's hope
Okay.
we can. So I want to really thank you, Bhavani, because it's not been easy to get you on the show. Number one, number two, I know you made a lot of special arrangements to be here today, despite your work commitment. So without letting out so much secret, I just want to thank you. So let's begin because we have one good hour to talk about you. So tell us a little bit about you are a lawyer
Yes, I am.
and in a very special industry.
Yes, very niche industry. Yes, in the
Yes.
oil and gas industry.
Yeah. So first tell us like how does it feel to be a lawyer in the oil and gas industry first, and transition us to what got you interested in career coaching.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. I mean, there's a bit of a story here. Before I got into oil and gas, I was actually working in a shipping company. And the shipping company, I was an in house lawyer. I was all along an in house lawyer. And the shipping company had an offshore business unit, which actually dealt with the construction and building of floating production and storage vessels to store hydrocarbons and oil. I hope I'm not boring you. Yeah. So I started doing that for the shipping company, and then I got a bit interested in oil and gas, and I applied to the oil and gas industry, multinational companies, and that's how I got in, and I adjusted quite quickly actually, and I've been enjoying it since. The reason I'm enjoying doing what I'm doing now is because one, it's niche, and two, the principles, the legal principles are slightly different from what one might be used to in the contracting law arena. So that got me a bit interested. It's a bit challenging as well, and but at the same time, I had struggled quite a bit to get to where I was. Yeah,
Mm.
I had some personal issues, and I had some resistance as well internally from family. But I had overcome all of that. Yeah, I had overcome all of that, and I stuck to dreaming big, trying to reach out to my inner self so that I could be independent and have a joyful life, but to do that, I had undergone a process, because I had at one point of time, not I wasn't having much support. So I had picked up a lot of self-development books, and learned the art of a positive thinking, and I wanted to be able to use that to attract jobs that would suit my personality. And I think a lot of this positive thinking and journaling and self-affirmation has helped me to be where I am. But in the process as well, I will have to tell you that I had uh, um, uh, also, I mean, it's a journey of self discovery, and I also realized that if I can help someone to achieve what I have achieved, that will be really good, especially youngsters who don't really know where they're going or what they want to do. Yeah, so that's how I got interested in career coaching, and I started looking into it further, professionally as well, to see whether I can help youngsters. I was most skewed towards trying to coach youngsters and teenagers, because I feel that if you can help them uh, be aware at this age, it will be easier for them as they progressed in their career. But it's quite difficult to mold and someone who's already a certain age. Because they can be very set in their ways. Yeah, I'm not saying that, unless that person himself or herself wants to change.
Mm,
Do you know what I mean? So I feel that youngsters or teenagers, they are happy to admit that they do not know anything. They are in the space of they are in a space where they are uncertain. So they are open to being prompted. Being prompted. This is my view. Being prompted with the right questions, and they are open to suggestions. But when you I mean, that's why I have skewed my coaching to teaching youngsters and teenagers. Yeah, but for adults, unless that adult feels that that he or she needs to be coached, or needs a change, or needs to transition into a different career, is not it's not happy with where he or she is, then that's fine. Then it'll be easy, because they then become open. But for me uh, uh, to to offer it as a service to a whole bunch of people, adults in a group, I don't think that's what I have. I want. I mean, I want to do. It's more of a one-to-one coaching sessions that I am interested in.
mm.
So that's what
Good.
I have developed so far, and that's what I've been doing with individuals, be it youngsters or adults. But with adults, I'm just saying that they must be open to ideas, and open to being challenged, and without being defensive. Then it's easier.
I wanted to say youngsters and oldsters, but okay. So so what I liked about your story is that I think you touched on something that I think all of us would struggle at some point of time in our life, where
Yeah,
we are probably searching for meaning. So let's talk about the people you don't like coaching. That's the adults first. Okay. Yeah, I get you, but I think we're going to look at concepts and thinking for. I think if you look in the show, people who are joining us are mostly adults, not young people. But this
yeah, yeah,
adults are probably looking to understand coaching either for themselves or for the youngsters that they're bringing up, right? So it could be
yeah,
right. So let's talk about what you were trying to say. So one of those things that you actually said very very nicely, very clearly, is that you spoke about your own transition because you already had a very you not had you already have a very successful career as a lawyer,
yeah. I
right?
do. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
you're already successful, and there would be many people who are successful but are struggling because they're not at home with their success, right? For whatever reason,
Yeah,
right? I meet people who are that, right? They are successful because they've chosen the right career that pays them well. They are able to move up the career ladder, right? But having said that, there's this nudging feeling in the heart that says, I'm still looking for something. So people make career transition. And these are the adults who will be open minded to your coaching, right? Having said that, so let's talk about, when you felt that you were searching something, you said you were journaling, you wanted support, you read positive thinking books. So you were obviously searching for something and hopefully even searching for someone who could have assisted you. But I would say, fortunately, you didn't get them, right?
Yeah.
Because you didn't get them, you needed to figure your way out
Yes.
through the
So,
various books that you read and all of that, right? So,
Mhm.
and then you have basically created your path, because I think one of the nuggets that you told me was that you wanted to, we would typically say growth mindset. You grew as a person. One is clarity of who you are and what you want, and then to attract a job that allows you to be you.
Yeah, yeah, correct, correct, correct.
And you did that probably through firstly self coaching yourself.
Yeah, yep.
And then did you get into any formal coaching for you to finally set that in, or it was always all the time self coaching?
It was all the time self-coaching and books. It was a very difficult time, to be honest, Malar. I mean, I had my own struggles, to be honest. And at that point of time, because I was a young married adult, I wanted to be able to do well, and I had a lot of things to prove to a lot of people. I'm just wearing my heart on my sleeve now at the moment, yeah. So I had a lot to prove to a lot of people, and I wanted to show. So what drove me then was different.
Mm,
Yeah, the driving factors were different. So at that point of time, I told myself, I'm going to get out of this rut that I'm in. I am a smart person, and I've got all the soft skills and knowledge of legal knowledge for me to take my career to a higher level. So without, I mean, I'm not wanting to you know upset anyone, but I just, this is more internally focused, yeah, and I wanted to
for you, it's
uh,
your story.
yeah, yeah, it's just my story, yeah. So I wanted to really get out there and help myself, and the only way I could help myself is to detach myself, or to not focus so much on the negativity that was in my life. And I'm generally actually a very positive person, so it didn't take much for me to make that shift. But at that point of time, it was difficult. Yeah. So I read a lot of books, and the biggest and the most helpful book was The Secret.
Nice.
Sometimes when you go along go along in life, you either plod along, or you start searching for things. I think I was ready for a change, and that's why I feel that book attracted me. So I mean, I think I was at a stage where I told myself, enough is enough. I'm not going to take the nonsense that external people are feeding me, and I'm going to do something about myself. That's when I picked up the book. And when I picked up the book, that was like my Bible, I swear to you. And that book was so great because it taught me the art of journaling, the art of talking positively, the art of, I mean, talking to yourself positively, being kind to yourself, and always let positivity overpower you. So that was the direction I was heading. So I started actually writing affirmations continuously. Yeah, I will one day hold this position that will give me this much amount of money. I wrote it. I visualized the car that I wanted to drive. You know, uh, I was young then. I was young. I was about
Younger, Bhavani, not
younger,
young.
younger. Yeah, yeah. I
We
was
all are
yes.
still young. I want to belong to the
Correct,
young
correct,
people,
correct,
the younger.
correct. So I was in my early 30s. Yeah, so I was in my early 30s, and So different things spurred me at that point of time. So I wrote all these things down, affirmations and journaling and positive talking and all of that. And and when I finally got the job I wanted, of course I put all my affirmation, the journals and everything aside. But what's really fantastic is, I think at least about 3 years down the line after I got my job in the shipping company, 3 years down the line, when I opened the journal, whatever I had written in the journal had actually materialized.
Mm.
And I found that amazing because I really do think, it's the universe is like a magnet. So if you actually exude positivity, the universe actually gives you what you want. You just have to ask without ask wholeheartedly, and without any doubts about what you want.
Nice.
So at that point of time, I did exactly that. I followed all the rules in the book, exactly that. I know it may sound a bit cliche, but that's exactly what I did. Then, as I moved on and I started getting promoted, and people were headhunting me in the oil and gas industry. I've reached a level where I don't think I can go higher up anymore, at least in what I do. Yeah, this is uh, the highest level I think I can attain in my profession. But now that I'm here and comfortable, that's when other things start creeping in. Yeah. uh, how things like, how do I give back, what gives me fulfillment, internal fulfillment, now that all that material bit is gone.
Nice.
Yeah. Then you start looking at what gives you fulfillment. And that's when I started exploring, and I started thinking what I can do to help someone else who may have been in my situation before, to be where they to be in a better position using my past experience.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's when I started doing a course, and why I picked career coaching. I've I mean, career coaching doesn't necessarily have to mean that you are an expert in many different careers, and therefore you are telling people what to do and which career to pick. No, career coaching is basically teaching the person, just nudging the person a little, prompting the person with questions as to what they are internally, and how they'll want to translate that into everyday activities,
Mm.
and then into a proper job. So I kind of developed the art of asking these questions through a proper formal course. Yeah. So I did all that, and then I started creating my website, and that's what I do. I'm not doing this uh, full time, because I still need my job. A lot of people, when they transition into their careers, they're still not 100% there, because they want to hang on to their salary and stuff like that, and then they become conflicted. I want to do this, but I need the money. But what I have done is I found a balance. Yeah, I found a balance, and I am doing what I like, insofar as my qualification, my legal work is concerned. But in terms of feeding my soul, and making sure that I am fulfilled internally and spiritually as well, I do certain things that will give me that happiness, and I do it for myself. And I don't think anybody wants such services
Nice.
from me. Yeah.
Wow, that was a beautiful long stories, and I already have 10 questions for you. Okay,
Okay.
so for those who have just joined us, let me just welcome people who have joined us. Good afternoon, Regina. Regina has joined us. Alia Karen, if you remember that, Alia has joined us. She's AK Green in disguise. She says hi, Malar Bhavani, and Regina says hi, Malar Bhavani. Gerald Fernandez says happy afternoon to me and hi, Bhavani. Major
Hi.
Prabhakar says hello to both of us and thanks a lot for the important conversation. Vani Sri says that's true. I have found myself manifesting those which I had jotted down in response to your own journaling experience. And yes, Radhika has joined us saying hello, right? So, for those who have just joined us, thank you for joining us. We are having a conversation with Bhavani Manickam on career coaching, right? And Dr. Nimala Bhaskaran has also joined us saying, nice to hear your story, Bhavani, right? Now, as we do all of that, I think you've given us a really a very intimate insight into your struggles, which I think a lot of us can relate to. I
Mhm.
believe if we are listening in, you've brought in something really important. So the first part that you actually said, right, Bhavani, you said, you were struggling, right? And I loved what you said because I mean, I dare say every probably young woman who starts a family experiences this. Not sure about the
Mm.
next generation, but at least our generation and perhaps one generation after us, right? You said you wanted to really prove. So on one hand, you had this well-paying career, and you needed the financial independence. You wanted the financial independence and also contribute to your family, I believe, because you had a young family, being a young woman, a young mother, and you wanted to contribute to the future of your children. So that's the practical side of life that all of us understand and know very well.
Mm.
Okay, and this is for the adults, right? Not for the young people who might have a better start than us, right? So we
Yeah,
make lots
yeah.
of choices to find a career that pays well, that has a future, for example, right? And you had the right future in front of you on one hand, right? But what I really liked about what you said is that you did say that things were not working very well for you at a personal level, and you reached out within. So there was a point of time. So you actually said, yeah, you knew that, but at some point you said, this is enough, I'm done living my life this way, and this is enough. And you started searching, and you said, you mentioned the book Secret, and we're not promoting the book, you can go and Google the book, but you said you were ready for a change,
Yeah.
right? So, can you quickly help us understand how does it? So, for those who are listening and who feel like Bawani when she was ready for a change, and they feel Bawani when she was struggling to be the ideal version the world had painted for her, and when that didn't match, she decided to take a risk and search within first. There will be a lot of people who will listen to your story because they can relate to the Bhavani you were then. So tell us, if you can take us back to that moment, what does it mean to be ready for change? How did you know? What were the signs?
Okay. I think it's very difficult to actually tell when a person is ready. Sometimes, when you speak to kids, or even to someone else who's always in knee deep in problems, yeah. And I just feel they have not reached a level so low enough for them to want to pick themselves up.
Okay.
Okay, for me that's that. But I had reached that. And see, all along, when I was having the problems, I will put up, and then I told myself, what the heck, enough is enough, life's too short, right?
Nice.
Yeah. I can only provide happiness to my kids if I am happy, because the kids pick up on your vibe. Yeah, so I think it's very important to make yourself happy, and there is no need for me to be afraid of people, or you see, the whole marriage thing. At that point of time, I think I was in 2 or 3 years into my marriage, and I had problems adjusting. Yeah, so it was during the adjustment period, because I was trying to adjust and adjust and adjust and adjust. I'm thinking, why the hell am I compromising too much? Yeah. So it's time for me to get out of this. Time for me. I don't want to be molded, or I don't want people to form an opinion on me based on my current experience, which is not really me. I've just become completely a different person. Yeah. So then that's when I started googling and looking at things and talking to people. I never had any qualms talking to people, or pouring out my problems to people. I never had a problem. I never had those sort of problems, so I always had emotional support like that. But sometimes when you walk in a I mean, if I wasn't ready, I don't think that book would have attracted me.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. When you
I
when
get it.
you
I get it.
you get what I mean. So if you walk in a bookstore and if you see something that you don't normally see, but you're curious and you want to pick it up, it means that you are already looking at things differently, and you want to move in a different direction. Yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
you're not going to feel that overnight. You'll feel the change, wanting to make that change gradually.
Nice.
It'll come. It'll come.
Yeah. So what you're saying, what I'm hearing from you is this, right? A lot of us, all of us, male, female, young, old, make adjustments,
Yep.
especially in the Asian context, right? You're giving
Yes.
us one context where you felt you were making major adjustments. We all make adjustments whenever we are in a relationship, let it be professional or personal, because
Yeah.
we want to hold on to something, right? So, and
Yeah.
what I'm hearing you say is that you adjusted and you didn't like the way you were showing up in these adjustments that you were making because you seem to be losing yourself. You were not showing
Spot
up as
on.
your
Spot on. Yes. Yes. I
right.
didn't like it. I didn't like it.
Yeah, you didn't like the way because that's not Bhavani at her core, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I think that's a deep level of awareness that you bring about, because first and foremost, for us to know that we're not showing up as ourselves, we need to know what does it mean to show up as ourselves first,
Yeah. 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 I
right?
agree. Yeah.
Yeah, and you seem to have listened to your nudging inside, because I'm assuming that you are so used to being yourself when you were making the adjustment and you were not you when you realize that you were not yourself, that's when you don't feel at home with yourself and you begin to search, because there's a lot of this noise coming out as what a young wife or a young mother should be, perhaps, right? And you're bringing all
Yeah.
of that together, and you're saying that you went on a personal development search mode. That's
Yeah.
that's one
Yeah.
thing, and you
I did.
found yourself, you understood yourself,
Mm-hmm.
correct? And then
Correct.
you also, yeah, and you also said, how the secret actually helped you. So the other thing that I think you brought up through the whole idea of finding the right book, reading the right book, and putting out the right book, right, was very much, you said something really important. One, you said being open. Number two is that I think maybe you didn't use the word, it's about being obedient to a process.
Yes, that's very important. That's very important because, Samalar, a lot of people read self-development books, but nothing
Correct.
changes. They
Correct.
just read it because it's something that you should read, something you think about. But when you want something so badly, you will imbibe the principles in the book. So for me, it's the art of imbibing and putting into practice what you read.
Nice. So I think there's two things. If we are open, so, and just before that bit, right, you said something really, I thought I can relate with it, right? That, sometimes we're not ready for change because we haven't hit rock bottom.
Yes.
And
Rock bottom is different to everyone. It's very subjective.
exactly, exactly. People need to feel that, you know what, I can't go any lower than this. It's rock bottom for me in this particular scenario, in this particular issue, in this particular relationship. And when you hit rock bottom, basically you can't go lower. So start crawling out. Like, and I think that's what you're saying. I thought I hit rock bottom. So when you hit rock bottom, whether you like it or not, you'll be ready for change. Because without change, you end up being stuck there,
Yeah.
because you can't go any lower, right?
Yeah.
You can't hit, below what is considered rock bottom for you. So that's fantastic.
Correct.
And so, and as you say that, so you said that, and you spoke about being open and how adults are less open earlier, why you like working with younger people, because younger people are ready to actually allow their mind to be molded, or they're open to
Yeah.
suggestions, right?
Correct.
Whereas
Correct. Correct.
adults tend to be most, perhaps, rigid and stuck, and that happens with knowing our identity, I believe, right? So,
Yeah.
and I think you're giving us interesting principles that we can talk about to understand your point of view, right? So, you said about that being open, and then you are talking about obedience. Tell us a little bit about how important it is for us to obey a process for us to get to the result that the process is telling us. Now, you were mentioning secret, but I think it's the same with career coaching. It's the same with anything new that you want to learn and be good at. You can skip the process until you become a master in the process,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
So tell us the importance for you, from your opinion, in personal development, how following a process and not questioning every process. Because that's what some people do, right? Before you try, you want to logically understand everything. But here's a book that's validated that has worked for millions of people. So why do you bother validating, right? Just follow the
Yeah.
process. Tell us a bit about following the process.
Yeah, yeah. So, in terms of career coaching, um, you see, career coaching is a little bit different from other sorts of uh, related professions like counseling or what other terminologies they have. I think they've got other terms for coaches, but they do different things. Like for me, a counselor is someone that who actually tells you what to do and gives you a plan or something akin to that. But for coaching, it's just we want you to make your own decisions regarding the path you want to take, right?
Mm.
So for me to get you on that path, I'll probably give you homework, okay?
Mm.
Observation, journal, observation about yourself. What do you think you like to do? So you observe as a third party, yeah? And this is what I have told my clients. And for some, it has worked. For some, it hasn't because they weren't serious enough. So when
You were
you
not
really
ready.
want to know, yeah, if you really want to know where you are going, you got to observe first your own traits. Yeah, so you jot down your liking. So when you are bored, what do you do? What is the
Mm.
first thing you do? You know what I mean? What are the kind of movies you like to watch?
Mm.
Yeah. So I get them to so these are some of the I'll give them homework like that, and then I will try to slowly nudge them to things that will give them for them to think about what gives them makes them happy. Would it be like playing football or actually solving a Sudoku or during their spare time? Yeah, whatever that makes them feel happy, and then I will then just prompt by asking, do you think that you are an analytical person, or do you think you're this? Well, why do you think you like Sudoku? I won't actually put the analytical thing bit inside the question, but I'll ask them, why do you think you like to play Sudoku? Or why do you think you want to you prefer to just bum around and not do
Okay.
anything? You know what I mean? So
Right.
when you ask these questions, then they are forced to think. The problem with youngsters these days, they don't think. A lot of kids, I mean, these days don't think. They just go with the flow sort of thing, and they don't really know where they are heading. So when you force them, and if the child is really wanting to know where the child wants to head towards, then they will do these things. And it's very important for you to do these exercises. If you don't do these exercises, you don't achieve anything. You're wasting your time, and I'm wasting my time. So when I give them things to do, they have to follow. There is a mechanism,
Okay.
on how to derive. I mean, from the course that I have undertaken, at least, there is a process how you get someone to think about what they like, their likings, their innermost thoughts and stuff like that. So it's a lot of observation that has to be done, and then you can have a real conversation with the coach. So there's lots
Mm.
of pre-work to be done
Mm.
before parties can extract information from the client. You know what I mean? So in once that's done, then we can have real honest conversations about the kind of person you are, and what do you think you can do, and what are the options available out there that could accommodate this sort of traits in you and things like that.
So, Bhavani, two things that comes to my mind, right? One is, I think what you're doing is, we spoke about the obedience to the process. You obeyed the process through the books that you read,
Yep.
which got you to,
Yeah.
be
Correct.
successful. You got you the results that you wanted.
Correct.
We're talking about how do we stay obedient to a process, and what you said is that in your career coaching, the first part that you actually seem to be doing is that whatever you had sort of discovered about yourself when you went on a search with yourself is what you are helping your coaches to do in the career coaching. And what you're also
Correct.
saying is that if people are not willing to reflect and see how their patterns have emerged so far and connect the dots about themselves, it's basically finding out who am I like,
Yeah, correct. That's
through the
absolutely it.
choices. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you're
Yeah.
doing, the first part is really who am I and how have I unconsciously connected the dots before, so that when you help them to see the connection, they will then know whether it is congruent or whether it resonates with them.
Correct.
Because they
Correct.
will have a story coming through why I do what I do,
Do.
what does it mean in my world, and from these meanings that you help them to connect and derive, it's already there, you're just surfacing them, then you are then able to give them the right question. Now, if these are things that makes you you, let's see how can we now look at the path in the futures, what you seem to be doing. I mean, did I get it right?
You articulate this thing so well, Malar.
I got that. I got that right now. And you also said something interesting, right? You see, earlier you said oldsters, that's the adults, are
Yeah,
not old.
I know. I know you'd picked up. I know you'd pick up on that one. Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah.
so I'm with you, right? So, you know why? Because when we are much older, our identities are much stronger, either the wrong, right way, the wrong way. But our identities are stronger either by default or by choice.
Mm,
Correct? And that's why
correct.
the older you are, it's more difficult to change if you're not used to changing.
Mm,
If you're used to changing, then even for the older adults, sometimes it's easier for them to change then. So it's not a matter of age, but it's what you've practiced. So I get it,
mm,
right? But what
mm,
you also said something really interesting, because on one hand, just now you said, oh, youngsters are more open, but
mm,
you also are saying something which is actually really very important, because we've heard this feedback about young people who are extremely intelligent, who can articulate their thoughts intellectually, but have a problem with connection.
mm.
And that, and that's the connection you're creating for them. They're up here,
Correct. Yeah.
right? And you're getting them to connect with the whole self. So tell us a little bit more about when you say, the youngsters sometimes are not able to think. What do
Mm.
you mean? Give us some examples, so that I think there are a lot of parents or adults who are here who would be interested in answers. Okay, I'll let you go now.
Okay. Uh, uh, Actually, it's quite simple, Malar, because what happens is when I have youngsters who they don't do their homework one.
Okay.
Okay, they don't do their homework simple because they don't want to. It's too much energy. They see there's too much energy being spent on thinking about me. I'm just going to do what I'm going to do, lah. Just whatever, lah. You know, uh, that sort of lazy thinking. I find that some of them are quite lazy to think, and then when they really cannot think for themselves, when I throw possible solutions, then they will go, yeah, maybe you're right, yeah, maybe I could do that, yeah, but that's not what I want them to actually come up with these alternatives on their own, which
Mm,
a lot of them do, actually, a lot of them do, but there are a group of kids that don't, because they don't really care where they're going, or where they're going, or they don't really care because they're quite happy, to just pick whatever course that mommy daddy sends them for, because it's all paid for. They've had easy lives, and they just carry on. If I make mistakes, so be it. I'll do something else. My father will help me set up a business. My dad's got this. If I can just join him. That sort of uh, thinking I see quite
Okay,
prevalent as well in kids.
nice, nice. So let me just jump in and ask you Regina's question, because I think you've brought in something very crucial for us adults who are raising young kids today, because it's a difficult space, right? For the adults, not for the young kids. But let's talk about this. Regina is asking a question. She said, Bhavani, need a clarification. What age are these youngsters you're referencing that they don't know what they want to do? I think maybe you need to give context, right, for this. Maybe you have
Okay,
given,
okay,
give us
okay.
context.
I'm talking about school leavers. uh, because I've been approached by parents who want me to coach kids who've left school and they're wanting to do their A levels, yeah, and they don't really know which course, which subjects to pick, because they don't really know where they are heading.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, they want me to have conversations with the kids to see what they want to do, where they want to go. But it's not so easy, because you got to go back to basics. Because right now the popular courses out there are medicine, accounting, law, psychology. These seem to be the most popular ones, but there are lots of other things that you can do that
Okay.
will suit your personality, which will be a lot more sustainable. But then there's also nothing wrong in evolving along the way. Your degree may not be the end all and be all. You, for now, like me, I thought I wanted to do law. I mean, I am enjoying what I'm doing, but then, as you go along, you evolve, you learn, and you think, okay, maybe this would have maybe I'd like to do something else and explore something else.
Nice.
So it's really
Nice.
no judgment there. It's really up to you. But the most important thing is, whatever you pick, you must be happy with that.
Okay, so tell me, Bhavani, you've done coaching for a lot of young people, right? So
Yeah.
I think what I'm hearing from you, and you can definitely see a bias in my question, and that's okay because I am biased. Now, you see, I'm wondering, right? One is after their Form 5 at 17, 18, what you seem to
Mm.
be doing, in my opinion, seem to be the right thing that we all should be doing for our children, which is look out for what connects them to themselves.
Correct, correct, which is what most parents don't do.
Correct? Because
Most
what
parents
I
don't do that.
also hear of parents is that we have a tendency, and this is the middle income, I would say, because the lower income don't know how to guide their children. The middle income or the helicopter parenting is where we think we want to control the future of our children, right? And what I find us doing is that we are projecting jobs to them, careers to them. We are selling them the success package, what they
Correct.
should be good because they will do well. Because if my child says I want to be a teacher or a kindergarten teacher, in this country you don't earn much, you immediately snub them off, not knowing that they can be the best kindergarten teacher first, find themselves, build themselves, and then make the next move, right? Because we
Correct.
we, we are
Correct.
we are so
Yeah.
stuck
Yeah.
40 years ago where your first degree will help you retire,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
correct. So tell us a little bit about what what as a career coach, where people send children to you, right? Talk to the
Mm.
parents now first. What is it that we are not listening to help our children find themselves when they are with us?
That's a tough question. That's a tough question.
Well, it is. Well, you have. I mean, I think it is a tough question, but it is necessary because we are at a space and age where we are so resourceful as parents now, but we are so educated, but not sure whether to find children being lost when they are A students is sad.
Mm.
right? Because there's
Oh,
research also in Malaysia that the B students have a lot more clarity and confidence compared to A students. You know, and and so talk to parents, because I think parents, no, we will never question the intention because we want the best for our kids. We
you
are
see,
over. Yeah, tell me.
correct. So this is the pattern that I see. Yeah, when a student performs very well in school and
Mm,
they are straight A students, there's a lot of pressure on the student
mm,
to to actually continue to continue to perform, right?
mm.
So if you're so smart, then you should utilize your brains and become a doctor or become an engineer or be an accountant. Why do you want to do food management or hotel management, or something that's totally off the grid? Because you're really smart, you see. So when you do that, you put unnecessary pressure on them, and that necessarily it's not going to help the child.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and Regina is saying, Mala, it's a hard thing to do. Obviously, parenting is hard. That's the problem. Because
Yeah,
we are caught between being true to our children and being true to the world, isn't it? It's always that
yeah, yeah,
balance
yeah,
that we
yeah, yeah,
have and for the people we love.
yeah,
So she says, it's a hard
correct.
thing to do. My opinion to your question is, I don't think we're listening um, hard enough. So, Reg, I'm just going to respond to that since you said that. Yeah, I think the challenge in that I find, because I work with a lot of young people who talk to me. So my friends' children come to me. My children won't come to me. My
my
children
my my son came to you, Malar.
So and that's interesting, right? Because and I'm very aware of the fact that my children won't come to me. They are like, I want to
Yeah,
stay
yeah,
at
it's
home.
the same, it's
And
the
that's
same,
fine
yes.
because I know I got Bhavani, I've got Regina, right? And I've got Vani, who is the teacher mother. So I think it's really about if why don't our children come to us? Now I remember Dr. Anasuya in a conference, she said that, and this has really made a huge difference to me. She said this, right? Uh, our children don't avoid us because they love us less. They avoid us because they love us that much. And they are so afraid to disappoint us. I'm
Yes, that
paraphrasing.
is very true. All these things will actually, kids these days, they get, for some reason, they get affected quite easily. I mean, they get affected quite easily, and it really bothers them. I'm not sure why. If I were to compare how we were during our time, and the kids these days, if our parents were to push us hard, we just go and do it without thinking much. I just feel somehow the kids these days are more emotionally connected
I'm
with
not sure
themselves.
about that, but
You know, it,
let me tell you what I found out. You remember the groups that I was working with?
yeah, 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 yeah,
So one is there was a study of A student and B students and how generally B students do much better in life, right? So it's interesting. Now, not A students work very hard, but when I put in fact in the group that we were working, I actually put out the question to the kids. Now, so if we want to actually empathize with the either A students or students whom we, as parents, we think they are our children are smart, so we think they're capable of whatever results,
mm,
right? Now, my parents give me everything. I don't have to do housework. I don't have responsibility. I don't have to do anything. And in parents say this, the only thing I want you to do is study.
yeah,
Can you imagine how stressful that is for the children because we take away their childhood?
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right. You're
yeah.
absolutely right.
And for the A students, what parents think is that if I took away all the obstacles, because these parents usually come from usually that maybe below average because they had to do a lot of things to get to where they were. So
Mm,
what we do as parents is that we take our difficulty and we take an oath we will never put our children through that. And it becomes a double-edged sword, right? Because of what we had to do, we became who we are.
mm.
We take away what made us us and expect our children to be a better version. So I think there's a
Correct.
lot of reflection and growth both for the parents and for the children, for us to for, and I need to remind this every day, it is my life, it is their life, I just happen to parent them. Yeah.
Yeah, but the other thing as well, Malar, is that yeah, that's true. But just like how I said earlier, that we should uh, I mean, in my career coaching, one should be able to observe oneself, right? As parents, we must also consciously observe what our kids like to do,
Mm,
or what they are leaning towards. Maybe your kid is interested in sports, or moving towards wanting to play football professionally, or picking the piano, or doing something else, or in drama, or she likes to act in school. But these are things that you have to harness. I'm not
mm,
saying that they're going to be great at that sort of thing, or they may. I'm not saying. I mean, I'm not saying that will. A lot of parents feel that those sort of options will not give them enough income, and therefore you shouldn't be pursuing those things professionally. But to be honest, a lot of them find happiness expressing themselves through arts.
yeah.
Yeah, but as parents, we have a problem with that, because we have this set ideas that being an artist, or is not going to get you enough. But there are so many options open in the art area as well. There's so many options there available. It's just that we've not explored it enough.
That's right. We don't know. And I think also because we have created and we live in a world that we put a price tag to success.
Everything, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. We
yeah,
created this world, and you're absolutely right, because how arts was actually taken away from students in schools, right? Because there
mm,
was a push for only science subjects, because that's what we were idol worshipping, without knowing how art has its own intelligence and it gives you life skills specifically for our well-being. And
yeah,
today, we are bringing all of that together because of our lack of knowledge, one, and also the systems around us, lah, right?
yeah,
uh, we will, if you want to be successful, you need to see what is the system paying for, right? You
yeah.
get paid higher when you graduate from the
Mm,
sciences compared to the art school, right? It is now that we are beginning to talk about it, but I think these are things that as parents we need to discern, we need to understand. And I think as parents, because we don't know everything and we are struggling, and when I was talking to Vani, we said we need a village to bring up a child. I think this is where people like you doing this and educating us and helping our children really helps, because when we don't know what we're doing, then can we now pass it on to career coaches like you, who can actually tell us, help our children, get started better with probably their career, lah. So
yeah.
tell me, Bhavani, what is that one misunderstanding, when parents send their children for coaching to you? What is that one miss or wrong expectation that they have of the career coaching? So just in case people get in touch with you, they
Yeah,
know they.
okay, because what they think is I'll give them a solution. Okay, your son wants to be a doctor, or your son wants to be an accountant. That's what they're expecting me to tell them. But that really is not career coaching. That's not.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, for me, it's basically helping the child discover himself or herself, to see what they like, what they don't like, and helping them to connect the dots, like you said, to what they could do. It's not just what they can do physically with hands. Like, for example, always wanting to. For example, game, doing gaming and all that. I mean, these days kids like to do a lot of gaming, and be on their computers. It's not just that, it's also your personality trait. What sort of a person are you? Are you someone that likes to work in a bigger group, or are you someone that likes to be solo? Is your child an introvert and extrovert, or is he or she meticulous? Could research be something that she could possibly do? But these are the things that I do. I give them the options
Okay.
based on what they tell me, right?
So
And then
that's how you form the conversations, lah.
yeah, yeah. So what I do, I give them an option. Have you ever thought about, because you're a quiet person, you don't really like interacting. How does research sound like to you? You go back and do research on that research bit and come back and tell me.
Nice.
What is there anything there that appeals to you? Because you at the end of the day, for any profession, for any sort of thing to be sustainable, you must be comfortable. I'm not saying that it could be the right one, but you must be comfortable, and that it must give you a balanced a lifestyle. You know what I mean? So they also have to think about what is important to them. I mean,
Correct. So, Bhavani, my question here is this, right? I know I can see what you are doing for the children, but if parents send the children to you with the wrong expectation, it's going to put more pressure on the children. So, as parents, if our children, for whatever reason, my kid might say, I want to be a doctor because they've picked up these things that mommy wants them to be a doctor, for example,
okay.
right? They're like a parrot, right? They just repeat what they've been fed on
Yeah,
sometimes.
correct. But the funny thing is when there are kids who have come to me with that, I want to be a doctor or I want to be a lawyer. So why do you want to be a doctor? What is it about medicine that appeals to you? Actually, I don't know. That's what my mom wants me to be, or that's what my dad wants me to be. They say that profession pays well, so they don't go below. They don't go below. The thought processes are just there because
Sure.
we have
So
fed
that's what
them and
you're
fed them
helping
all
them
these
with.
years. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's what you're
yeah.
helping. My question is, when my child comes now says, I want to become a physiotherapist or an art teacher, for example,
Mm,
or if my daughter comes and says, I'm going to be a ballerina, for example, right? And I
okay.
thought, my daughter is scientist material because she's scoring 100 for science all the time. Let's give that example, right? As
Okay.
a parent, when I send my child to you for career coaching, how should I be ready with whatever comes to be on my child's side?
I think you just have to. Uh, I mean, you're asking me how to be prepared
Yeah,
to
in my
listen to what
daughter,
a
whom
child
I
will have
sent
to
to
say.
you, yeah, you're supposed to help her to become scientist because I'm very sure as a mother she's supposed to be a scientist. I know it. I'm giving you a typical example, right?
Yeah.
And then my daughter comes back and say, I spoke to Auntie Bhavani, and I think I want to become a ballerina.
So you're asking me your question is asking me how do I manage the parent?
No, no, you don't have to manage parents. If I'm sending my child, I need to be now prepped that the idea of coaching is for them to find themselves, not to make our dreams come through, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So
How
you're
do I
asking.
put myself right? One, like, so that means when I send them for career coaching, I need to be ready for whatever outcomes the career coaching brings out in the child.
Correct. So the thing is, I will have to actually brief the parents beforehand.
So you do
That would
that
be
too.
the best because sometimes parents just drop the kids and they just go. So I
Okay.
don't have conversation with them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because I get messages saying, my son wants to come to you. He wants some clarity. So he just comes to me and then I speak to him, but without knowing what parents' expectations are,
So
you know.
how do you I can see the bridge you're creating, which
Mm.
is knowing what the child needs, help the child explore and find out, or the young person, and then to bridge it, right? And then you're saying you want to also understand the parents' expectation. So how do you bridge
But the
all of this?
parents' expectations so far, parents have not approached me.
Okay.
The child comes to me on its own. Only when the child tells me that I have my mom or my dad wants me to do this and this and this, that's when I will speak to the parents.
Nice, nice.
You
And
know,
when you say
I
you speak to the parents, what's your objective?
I will just tell them that highlight on on the boy's traits and his personality and the different directions that he can take based on what he is. Yeah, and then give that options. Highlight it to the parents and tell them that you will have to realize that some things that the professions that you've suggested may not be attractive to him because of
Nice,
A, B, C, D, E.
nice, nice. So what you're doing is basically you're reconciling what
Yeah,
might
yeah,
be the right option for the child and what the parents may or may not have known.
yeah. But
You're not.
at the same time, Mother, just because you do a medical degree doesn't mean you need to be a practicing doctor.
Yes.
Okay, there could be parts of your personality that can be applied in a medical based degree elsewhere.
Correct.
Okay, for example, it's not going to go to waste. You can do hospital management, for example. Okay, if you like that, then you can go on and do an MBA. If you feel you don't want to become a doctor, and you can do that. That's that to look at. Then you've got research
Mm,
based professions. With a medical degree, you can even become a recruiter for the medical
sure.
professions, where you go out there and you recruit. So it's a huge industry. So the thing is, we are so tuned to just that one thing. Yeah, if you do a medical degree, you have to be a doctor. You
So
have to
what you're
specialize.
saying, Bhavani, there are so many options for you to be good, stay on track with what you're good, what you're interested, but don't get stuck with the jobs.
Yeah,
Know that
yeah,
you can create the jobs. You can use your knowledge that you are interested in to solve the problems that is existing at the time you are out there in the markets,
correct, correct, correct.
right?
It's not a
You're
dead
just
end. A lot
very,
of them see it as a dead end. Oh,
yeah,
medicine. Oh, he I spent half a million educating him, but doesn't want to be a doctor.
yeah, yeah.
Then you
Okay.
explore further. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So,
Sort
okay,
of.
lah, parents who can spend 500,000 on sending a child to become a doctor can spend some money on career coaching also before that. Okay, but never mind.
But there's also this thinking as well that career coaching is rubbish. Seeing a psychologist is rubbish. Then you listen to me. There are lots of parents like that as well.
Yeah.
Narcissistic sort of upbringing.
I
Because
know,
they
I
feel
know
that.
what I'm doing. They're my children. So if you know what you're doing, then don't come and ask for help. I'm just going to figure it out. But what you're basically saying is that people come to you because we cannot be master of all trades, but
Yeah,
that's where we look for specialists in the area to help our kids figure out. And what you're
yeah,
also saying is that it's not one section fix it all. It is an evolution of the individual to find themselves, and you're giving them
correct.
tools and techniques that they can take on for the rest of their life, because this is not the only time they're going to get into career coaching. So I've got two last questions for you, Bhavani. We're already at 105. Quick one. One is, how do we discern between being comfortable, and to growing? Because on one hand, we are promoting, be who you are. This is your trait. This is your personality. This is your preference. On one hand.
Yeah, yeah,
On the
yeah.
other hand, it can also mean that sometimes we become so comfortable we cannot grow. We can't be resilient. Because I
Okay,
think,
but then
mm,
that again pretty much circles back to the question: what is it you want?
mm,
You know, do you want to remain like that? We cannot force someone to get out of that comfort zone.
mm.
Sometimes people are just happy being in that comfort zone.
Yeah. So my
You
question
know,
to you is
oh,
that in today's children, with today's kids, right? We are, you see,
hmm,
maybe the older I wouldn't even say older generation. I think it depends on income group, right? How much of choices you have. When you are resourceful, then it is easier to fall into, I prefer this, I prefer this, I prefer this, because that's where parenting seems to be going. Please listen to your children all the time, right? And sometimes and as parents, we can see how our child is able to do more or needs some adversity in life to prepare for the future. Because one of those things
Mm.
that's happening with young people today is that they're not resilient because they have been in a comfortable position all their life. Not their fault,
Oh. Okay,
right?
so you're
So,
talking about children, not adult here. Sorry, I thought you were talking about an adult earlier.
no, no, no. I mean, adults,
No.
again, right? If you have not had experience as a young adult to have, you see, for people who have less choices, right,
Mm.
come from a poorer background, adversity is part of life.
Mm.
Disappointment is part of life. Growth
Yep.
is part of life, because I cannot, when I
Mm.
have less resources, and say I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert, so I cannot do this. We have to figure it out.
Mm.
Whereas when people are
Mm.
more comfortable today, what we're doing is we are protect, and we say, my child is an introvert, so don't let him or her do anything that makes him feel uncomfortable. That's the conversation I'm seeing both among young people and among older people also, right? Like, I cannot do this because I'm an
Mm.
introvert. I cannot do this because I'm an extrovert. But that's the growth process, right?
Mm.
Yeah. So I'm wondering how when, so while I know I want to stay true to who I am, but if I only do what is comfortable for me, then how do I grow? How do I figure out there's a growth space for me?
Mm. You got to challenge yourself. Yeah,
Mm,
you got to challenge yourself, but you must want to challenge yourself. Do you know what I
mm,
mean?
mm.
So I think it must come from a space within you.
You
So
need to
I
be
can
ready
tell
for it.
you, sorry.
You need to be ready for it. You need to want it, is what you're saying.
Yes, that's what I feel. Whether you are a young person or an adult, if you're a young person and you still feel that way, then perhaps the process will be longer for you. Your evolution will take more time.
Okay, got it. I think you've just answered the question. If you stay comfortable, you're not going to evolve, and your evolution is going to take longer, is the answer.
Longer, yeah.
Whereas,
Each person varies. Yeah,
yeah. Whereas if it is part of the process where you are stretched and you're open, that's how you become open, you see. When you are open, then chances of you
yeah.
evolving is greater. And chances of you actually being resilient is higher because you're so used to challenges and things not working your way, right? Yeah. And like what you've
You're
demonstrated.
breaking up, Malar.
Okay, sorry. Now, can you hear me now?
Not very clear.
Is it me? No. Okay, I think it is your side because my technical is saying I'm okay, but never mind. I'm just going to read to you, and
Okay,
we'll
okay.
close. Yeah, we'll close this, right. I'm going to read to you what Nirmala says. Wonderful points of discussion. So obvious how different we were brought up and how different it is currently with the new generation. Love the fact that Bhavani, you are there to address child's career option. Only it's a bit sad to hear some parents don't have the time to explore. It's time that we stop and stare at our child and see the beauty each child has to offer to the world. This is an idealistic mother. Yay. Okay, I'm past that stage, Nimala. Okay. Hey, Kiran, hello both. What are the main common challenges that you see that hinder growth in the adults and children you coach? Kiran, I'm not too sure whether you've just joined us, but I think what Bhavani had actually said is really being open minded, wanting to explore and put in the work for long term growth, is what she had said. So I'm going to leave with that. So please listen to uh, this video, or watch this video, or listen to our Spotify to get to the answer, and feel free to connect with Bhavani. So Bhavani, let me ask you one last question before you leave us. So people who want to contact Bhavani, please contact her on LinkedIn and Facebook for career coaching. Parents, get in touch with her to talk to her. Amazing person. She is very much staying true to the profession more than doing it as a career, as you will know. But one last bit, right? If we are looking for career coaching, all right, why would we want to get into career coaching? Tell us, why
Well,
should we get into career coaching? Why should we seek career coaching?
um, people normally seek career coaching when they're at crossroads, but they don't really know what to do,
Nice.
and they
So
want a little bit of help.
nice. So crossroads, if you're feeling you are at crossroads, however young or old you are,
Yes, it
Bhavani,
doesn't matter. Yeah, yeah.
doesn't matter, and you're thinking, hey, I need to find myself and do something meaningful in my life, please get in touch with Bhavani Manickam, a dear friend of mine, who is passionate about helping people find themselves first and how they show up in the world as themselves and be the success that they create, is what I would like to say. Bhavani, any parting words before we say goodbye?
I want to thank you, Malar, for giving me this opportunity. This is my first ever, live conversation, that I've had. I've been doing this in silo, to be honest. So it's nice that you've helped me, helped me sort of like highlight what I do. Uh, Not on a I don't do this on a permanent basis. I do it because I'm just passionate about wanting to help people, so I do it whenever I have the time, and I don't go out there advertising my services. But it's wonderful that this platform is given to me to be able to do that.
Thank you. And I'll reach out to you for a deeper conversation for the questions that we might have about career coaching. But, Bhavani, the whole idea of running this series is not so much to publicize or advertise people, but I bring in people whom I know are passionate to the purpose, who want to
Yeah.
make a difference. And I've known you just for a couple of years, even though we met many years ago. And I know how passionate you are in helping people to find themselves through one of the biggest role that we play, which is our professional role. So I want to thank you for bending over backwards to make it happen today, because I know
Thank
it's a
you.
very important meeting, right? And in that space. So thank you for doing this, and I'm sure we'll do more. And people who have met Bhavani will know that we are echoing the truth. So I want to really thank you. It's been a privilege to have you, and we'll have you again on our podcast if you agree. Thank you for your voice, because we need to hear voices that has transitioned, right? And that's why we bring in people from different walks of life, because we want mothers and adults who are like Bhavani to say, I can resonate with Bhavani's story. Now I know what to do, and if I can reach out to Bhavani better. So thank you for giving us space for that. I know it's belated, but happy Mother's Day, happy Teachers Day. Stay blessed,
Thank
and
you. Thank you. Thank you. Same to you guys. Thank
bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you very much. All right, so that was Bhavani Manickam. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have questions on career coaching, please put it up here, because we're going to bring Bhavani to do a podcast. With that, I know it's 1:15. Thank you for joining us in Being Whole, Being Me series 57. Next week is already the month of June, which means that we will be focusing on fathers. And yes, this month we focused on mothers. Next month we're going to focus on fathers and the whole ideation of fatherhood and the impact they have. Meanwhile, for those who can't catch up, you can catch up live, or please remember to subscribe to our YouTube, because we're going to bring in our podcast through YouTube, as well as we are on Spotify. So if you're on Spotify, look for Being Whole, Being Me, and you will be able to catch up all the series just listening to us while you drive. Hopefully, you like my voice. With that, have a beautiful end of May. See you next month in June. Ciao. Bye.